and a warm welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning into Smart 24 TV. My name is Anthony, and we are Financial Markets. Remember, we air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at exactly 9 p.m. We bring you experts from different sectors in the financial markets of Uganda to help you understand the markets, to help you be able to maneuver the market, and of course leverage the earnings from this market, because today without a passive income you can hardly go by. Now, in a special way tonight, we have a very special guest, and I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, and this is none other than Miss Lynn Tukey, the Public Relations Officer for the Capital Markets Authority. Now, Lynn has a wide experience in public relations with over 8 years of doing media and mass communication, and she also worked with the Public Relations Association of Uganda, PRAO, as the director of public relations before joining CMA. And most interestingly, she was recognized as one of the world's top 100 most influential PR professionals in financial technology. Indeed, a wonderful lady and amazing experience there. Miss Lynn, you're most welcome to the program.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm very elated to be here.
Amazing. I've been looking forward to having you on the show for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
Well, I know Smart 24 is really passionate about spreading the gospel when it comes to financial markets and capital markets. Yeah. And so we appreciate you for that. And I knew, of course, there will be moments where we'll have to, cross paths and do the work of telling people and, the normal Ugandan out there about what this complicated world that seems to be is. Yeah.
Amazing. So how long have you been in office, and how has the experience been for you as the Public Relations Officer for Capital Markets Authority?
Yes, so actually the Public Relations and Communications Manager at the Capital Markets Authority. From the time I joined, you can only imagine that there's a wealth of experience that I have garnered, and I say this from a layman's perspective, as someone who was coming in from a totally different world in terms of my personal aspirations. And right now, the only thing I am thinking about is investments. Imagine, so I have been changed even at a personal level. Just being able to be privileged to know and understand what I understand now, and I just would like to share that, and just having this platform that I'm the one who is actually responsible to educate, for example, the masses around the country gives me so much joy and pleasure. Yeah.
It has been about a year and a half, right?
Yeah, yes.
And you talk about this experience because from an entirely different perspective, when you look at how people perceive the markets, and you being in a position where you have to communicate that, I think it's a daunting task, because in Uganda today, when you explain to people about money and investment, you really have to take time to first of all understand their perception and then also get to change it. How has that been for you as an individual?
Yes, I think I'm in a very sensitive position, but also it's exciting because this is me. 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I did not understand anything about the world of finance and capital markets and investing in general. And so I can understand how I was then and the transition I needed to be where I was in just looking into my goals, right? What do I want to do with my life? And how can I move on from here? You're just straight out of university, and you're thinking like a layman, but then when you're poked and you're put at a position where you're like, okay, I actually need to account for emergencies, for example, or I might get married soon, I need a baby. If I need a baby, that means I need to save up for this baby. And so at different aspects of life, you actually have different aspirations. Even as a high school goer, you're thinking, oh, oh, I need to save and have some money so I'm able to, you know, maybe set myself up for campus, go to the best hostel. So I think in every aspect of life there's always an aspiration that I believe the capital markets has an answer to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Diving into the discussion today, we are looking at an overview of capital markets and collective investment schemes. Why this collective investment scheme? It's because, at least when we talk about capital markets in Uganda, the most popular asset class are the collective investment schemes. They have been escalating in numbers of not only investors but also the figures of assets under management by different fund managers. And according to your quarterly bulletin, at least for the first quarter of 2023, it's mounting up to 2.6 trillion. And in the second quarter, I'm sure when you release it, it will be beyond 3 trillion.
Definitely.
So, it has been growing. There's no one point in time where it went down. So we can't really do away with it. But let's talk about your perspective of what the capital markets are like in Uganda from your personal experience. What are they like?
First of all, maybe I can demystify what capital markets is and how I understand it. And the fact that you mentioned collective investment schemes, I'm proud to associate with the fact that it has been growing steadily and not coming down. And like you've rightly said, right now we're at 2.8 trillion. Before you know it, we could even, because that statistic is as of March this year. But imagine we're now in July, and I can't wait to unveil what that number is. And so as we wait for the quarterly bulletin, for me, I'm just given this sense of confidence that this is the right thing. And how I was introduced to capital markets, especially through unit trust, because unit trust is something that's individualized, right? Any individual at whatever level is able to invest, because capital markets, if you're to just, if I can take you back maybe, when we say capital markets, we're looking at a market just like any other market, where you have people selling capital and those buying the capital, and that capital can actually be in terms of money, right? The only difference is that this market is not like Nakawa where you go, it's not a physical market, it is ideally in the space, right? It's a virtual market. And so you're saying you have, there is this individual or business or government that is in need of money, and then you're having, there is this other individual that has money, this other business that has money, you know, and so I want to invest it in one that I believe in, right? I believe that if I invest, for example, in a treasury bill or a treasury bond, so, and this is something that people do not understand, that the government actually needs money, it borrows, right? So rather it borrowing from elsewhere and not its people, it would also try and use the capital in and around the country through its citizens. So these are Ugandans putting together money, for example, and putting it in a unit trust, or just directly having a treasury bill or a treasury bond bought, and they're saying, I believe that the government has my best interests at heart, in the sense that I have money, I'll give it to them, I'll lend it to them, but after a certain period of time, they will actually give me back my money with interest. And then it even gets more exciting, because when it comes to treasury bonds, they actually give you money after every 6 months, and even while they're giving you this money, your principal is still intact, right? And that's just to do with bonds, for example, and bills. But our focus today is the unit trusts. And when you say unit trust, you're basically saying there is a fund manager that we license that has money from different individuals or institutions, and is putting them in a pool, and is saying, once all you guys keep bringing in this money, then that money can be invested collectively in all these government securities like the treasury bills, the bonds, the shares, for example. And we are saying we have investment advisors that are going to be looking at this money and make sure that the best interest is earned. And for you as the person investing in the unit trust, you totally have no control over what is invested in. For you, you have just been told that you have put in this amount of money, and at the end of the year, you'll be having this interest, and they even declare the interest every day. So for me, my personal takeaway from this was, if I have money in the bank, which I usually had, right, still have, what that means is that the bank will take money off your principal in terms of charges every single month. Now here is someone saying, open an account with us, give us some of that money or most of that money that you put in that bank, and you will be able to accumulate interest on that money every day.
Every single day
of the year, and we shall be able to literally give you a return on top of your principal. So you're not deducting from my principal, you're just actually adding on it. For me, that was the winner, and I said, instead of, like, the math just don't add up. You have an account in the bank, but they keep deducting. You put 10k, you'll get it out when it's 7k.
Yes.
Here you're putting 10k, you'll get it when it's 13k.
I've had a bank account where I had negative balance, and it's possible.
Yeah.
You find that you have to
You're having negative balance because you have to keep paying, right? As long as the money is seated on the bank account.
Thank you.
And this is not to decampaign banks or anything. It's more like, what is your goal? Like, why is the money seated there? Is it paying school fees the next day, or is it just seated there waiting to get what it's going to be used for, rather than saying, I want my money to actually work for me, because it's actually a business, right? You put in as low as 100,000, at the end of the year, you're getting 12% of that, depending on the interest rates. Yeah, so for me, that was the winner for me. So I'm speaking as a layman in this context, and that's how I was bought in. And I said, as long as I have a bank account, and now I believe every Ugandan with a bank account should have an account with a unit trust, to just sort of diversify that money and invest. Yeah.
Looking at the unit trust, comparing it to, I could say, other asset classes, much as of course the unit trust is indeed part of the others, because that's where they invest. What would you say could be the advantages of investing over the unit trust instead of individually going into investing into, for example, shares, treasury bonds on your own, and commercial papers and the like?
Yeah.
What would be some of the takeaways for someone investing in a unit trust rather than going direct into these markets to invest?
That's a very good question, Anthony, because first of all, shares, treasury bills, treasury bonds, you do not go in to invest if you do not understand those, right? And so if I don't want to task you with the energy, right, to, well, you could go and educate yourself about it on the internet and everything, but for someone who is not interested in learning, just take a businessman in Chikubu, right? All they want is their money to work for them. So what the unit trust does, it says, hey, instead of you going and putting your money and investing it in a share, for example, and you're looking at the stocks going in and out, and you're not sleeping completely every day, because every time you get up, you look for your phone, the news, and you're like, hey, what have they announced? Oh my God, my shares. And then you're having all these headaches. Instead of doing all that and going through all that, just the other alternative would be that you get a fund manager who is licensed by the Capital Markets Authority, who you know will not run away with your money, and is also guaranteeing you a return, because there are also different types of unit trusts, and depending on your goal, if you say, for example, mine is to to liquidate at any point in time because this is for emergencies, then they'll most likely put you in a fund called the money market fund. And what that means is you definitely can get your money anytime, right? And that's the beauty about unit trusts, that I put in my money and it's earning every day, but the moment I want to get it out, I will actually get it out. But so also, that's the issue of liquidity, and you can get it out in the next 24 or 48 hours. But also those headaches that someone who goes and invests individually has because they do not understand the market completely is saved away from you, because the fund manager has a dedicated person that's actually looking at the numbers. You know, there is an analyst in every of these funds that is just looking at how are the numbers performing, how is this performing, this bond, this bill, this share, let me remove the money from this and put it here. Their job is to do that. They have the headaches for you, and they put it in the best entity with or the best fund with guaranteed returns. And now for you, your job is to just make sure that at the end of the day, and they'll communicate to you, this is how much interest you have made, and they even communicate at the end of every financial year or at the end of every calendar year that this is how much you have made in terms of guaranteeing interest. But also the advantage with unit trusts, apart from the fact that you've liquidated at any point in time, so that means if you have any emergency, you'll go and get it out, but also the fact that you don't have to worry about where to invest because the fund manager does it for you, is the issue of diversification. Because most of us as investors may want to say invest in other things, maybe buy an apartment somewhere, or go into farming, or buy land and just let it sit there, but you still have some amount of money that you can have just in case you need it, and instead of putting it in a bank account somewhere where we have discussed the money is taken away, you would rather put it in a unit trust where you're also guaranteed. These returns are fluctuating, but not so much. Yes, there is risk, because today they will announce 10%, tomorrow 12%, the other day 11%, but it's still guaranteed in the same. It fluctuates around the same rate, and so you find that you're still investing. The money is working for you, even as you diversify into different avenues. And that's why I keep telling people, for example, those who are retiring, because me, if I get my midterm access, for example, from NSSF, the first thing I'll do is
which is a long term from now.
It's not so long. We're getting old. But once I get that money, and I literally have nothing to do with it, because retirement is not coming anytime soon. I'm not getting broke anytime soon. I believe I'll put it back in a unit trust.
That's right.
Compared to putting it in a bank, for example, I'll put it in a unit trust because I'll know that at that rate, and the higher amounts you put, the higher interest. You will understand. And so for me, I can only imagine how much that money would be.
Amazing. And so many people, especially those that are accessing their retirement benefits, they are being hoodwinked into investing in different other, not so appropriate investments, and they're at a critical point in their life, where there's no return. You invest that money, you might never get hold of it again.
Imagine.
But let's talk about, before we leave this issue of comparing unit trusts and also these other individual investments, when you look at the market turnover in the first quarter for the USE stocks, it was 23.9 billion. It grew from 8.1 billion, which was very interesting. But you cannot compare that to the 2.6 trillion in just 3 months. The growth in assets under management. Now, there has been an issue of the dominance of fund managers, institutional investors in the stock market, whereby this has also led to a drop in liquidity in terms of how many individuals, retail investors are actually trading on the stock market. Isn't this working to the detriment of the stock market, the growth of the capital market, which is the stock market here that I'm talking about? Because at the end of the day, you also want these companies to come up and list, but then they're looking at the liquidity levels on our stock market, which are very, very low, and they've been dominated mainly by institutional investors. So, least to say, NSSF, fund managers, and the like, because retail investors are very, very few. How is that? How do you work with that?
That's a good one, and I see it as a challenge, but also as an opportunity, as it is in our world of investments, because it's fair to say that in 2016, for example, when collective investment schemes were literally at a very low level, you could see that the USE was performing quite well, right, compared to all these other securities. And then the drive to just encourage the individual person that you're talking about here, because in most cases, and you're right to say institutional investors are the ones that are getting the big chunk in investing in shares, and the layman and bonds, and the layman is just saying, and I think it's a thinking mindset where you're just saying, we leave that to the big boys. And so, because me with my 500k, for example, in savings, what am I doing investing in shares, for example? What am I doing investing in treasury bills and bonds? And I think that is because the education or the level of awareness is actually low amongst the individuals. And so that is why, as much as it was a weighing scale thing, we had to look at how can we bring this omuntu wawansi to understand that the capital markets is not just for the institutional investors. How can we bring them up? And that's why in 2016 we heightened the public education drive to just say these people can indirectly actually invest in the shares, invest in the treasury bills and the bonds without necessarily having to learn about all the demographics or all the intricacies that are into that. And so as the collective investment schemes have grown, especially in the AUM, in the assets under management, you see that now we are at the point where we're saying, oh, have we left the trading of shares here and now the collective investment? And now you start to wonder, okay, does that mean we should go back here? And so the public education drive for now is actually trying to balance out the two. How do you also appeal to the businesses, for example, that are trying to raise capital? Because raising capital is something that some businesses haven't yet appreciated when it comes to using the capital market space, because we have things like the IPOs, right? You try and have your company go public, but you also have the fact that you can still collect money or raise money from the public without necessarily listing thereafter. You can first raise the money that you need, and then at a certain point, then you go and list or decide not to list at all. So some of these options have not yet sunk down into the Ugandan people, and that is something, it's a challenge that we are taking on in terms of public education. Also for businesses that are trying to raise through private equity, for example, or venture capital, and we're working on these regulations. And I really appreciate the fact that you're giving us this space as Smart 24 to go into what exactly this means, that you're raising capital and that you can list on an exchange and collect as much money as you had anticipated, or that a business can actually invest in shares as a way of preserving their capital and raising even more. Or if I'm looking at a long-term goal as a retirement person, right? I would like to say buy shares in MTN, Stambik, Airtel, all these. And you see, even with our strategic move to let the Ugandan people say, or even the institutional investors like NSSF invest in businesses that are multinationals like MTN and Airtel, we said, you know what, Ugandans need to actually benefit from some of these companies that have been here for all these periods of time. Yes, and at least have some saved for us, and which also leads to the overall economic development. So I think as the Capital Markets Authority, because our mandate is to both protect the investors but to also regulate the market, we are looking at avenues in which we can have all these two synchronized at the same time, while having people appreciate the capital markets both at the individual level and at the business level, but also at the institutional level. And yes, talks are underway. We're having all these engagements just to make sure that this message is taken down to everyone.
Amazing. That explains it so well. However, the understanding, the awareness, the participation in the markets by the common individuals has also been very, very low. According to Uganda'S, there was a statistic that less than 1% people understand or even invest in stocks and or capital markets in general. Yes, much as we are saying, let's say now the 79,000 accounts that so far have been created, but we are over 45 million people, and at least 50.1% of those people are young people below the age of 17. And when you look at the 80,000 people that are investing, I don't know how many are below 18 or even below 25. It could be very worrying. Yet they are the biggest population.
That's true.
What are you doing as CMA to trickle down to the child, to the youth, to the university student, to the secondary school student? Because this is where the big catch is. And if these people are not groomed at that stage, it might actually be very, very hard to groom them much later.
I like that one. Yes, that's true. So you start at a young age. I mean, even the Bible has the same thing: train a child in the way they should go, and then they're old, will not depart from it. I think that's very critical, Anthony. And when you raise it in that way, it actually ties into what our plans are. If you're to look at our master plan as the Capital Markets Authority, for example, things to do with university, for example, quizzes, university. We've carried out a number of university engagements where we call them, I think, public lectures, and we go out to these universities and just talk to these people, these young people, especially those that are now planning to get out of university and start work, because the thing is with investing, you can't invest without saving. You need to first learn the act of saving. I
think making money, saving.
Right? But even when we were kids, they would give us money for it. They give you 100 shillings every day, and somehow you had a tin. Those tins we used to have, and I heard the piggy banks. Yes, we had tins. You're a planned kid. Fine. So you cut it open and then you keep saving. And so nowadays, our collective investment scheme goes for as little as 20,000 shillings, right? So meaning any kid that is saving up to this point, if you had started in January, could actually open up a unit trust. But this knowledge has to also be passed down through the different people in our lives, right? And so the Capital Markets Authority is trying through high school debates. We've had a couple of those, and we still plan on going strong on them in terms of having them more aggressive in schools, and maybe even open up or clubs, right? Capital markets clubs, imagine, investment clubs. But also there's this growing desire to be a part of a circle or an investment club. And I think I'm even seeing schools starting these up, old girls, old boys. These circles have an investment avenue in the capital markets, and most of them actually capitalize on the capital markets. And so we're trying to get into all these spaces. I mean, just 2 weeks ago we were in Kabale, and we're just talking to the people in Kabale, and were asking them, how many of you know about capital markets? And you could see there were not so many, right? And so these are the drives we're trying to have, nationwide drives, through groups, these circles, the investment clubs, even churches, right?
Okay.
Churches do a lot of...
You want to...
I mean, even what does the Bible say? Even the Quran, I know at some bits you would understand that when they give you something, you need to help it grow.
Yeah.
And that's at the heart of the capital markets. That are you making your money grow? And so we also have the deal flow facility in partnership with FSD Uganda and the European Union, where I would say businesses that want to raise capital, you come on board and we train you, we make you investor ready, so that if there is any other, for example, private equity that is looking out for businesses, there is a list of people that we can confidently say we have trained these people. They have their corporate governance, their balance sheets, everything is in check. They know how to, run a business, and then that is even made easier for all those who are seeking to, give capital. And you see, and that is how the definition of capital markets come in. I have capital I want to give you. Do you have what it takes to take my money, and I know I'll earn from it, that I can be able to trust you, your vision of the company, your mission, where you see yourself in 5 years, I can buy into that, and therefore I can give you money, I can give you my capital. And so that is what we're trying to really bring up.
Have you thought through the curriculum these students are?
Thank you for bringing that up.
I've seen the review in the curriculum, and I would think Capital Markets Authority should have been, or I don't know if it was, one of the key stakeholders to be actually part of the new curriculum, because there's a way we are taught everything apart from how to make and multiply money.
Yes.
And in school, we used to study all this history, West Africa, South Africa.
Yes.
And you come out here, there's nothing. None of that.
Yes.
None of that. So is this also thought through in terms of the curriculum these students are being taught?
Yes, thank you. And the way you keep picking my brain, because this is exactly how I'm thinking. And yes, we have been in talks with the National Curriculum Development Plan, and I'm even happy that, for example, LDC, that's the law school, they already have a curriculum on capital markets, where they're just talking.
I've seen so many lawyers.
You have seen now? Yes, that's appreciation of capital markets. I think that's something that I was very proud of, because I was doing something totally different. I think I was having my research done, and then this is a law student, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I work with the Capital Markets Authority, and then they said, oh yeah, we learned that in school. I said, wait, wow, that's nice. How did you find it? Oh, it's intriguing. And so this is something that people thought was so hard to deal with, but even now the lawyers are learning it. And so yes, you bring up a very important point. Even in high schools, how can you bring that up? Say, even if it's just to do with an investment club or a capital markets club, and these are just tools that people, entrepreneurship.
Amazing.
Yes, entrepreneurship
can. We used to have entrepreneurial competitions.
Exactly.
Because, businesses in Uganda start as low as secondary schools. People in secondary schools have small businesses. And you bring them to competition and say, okay, how do you use money? How do you draw a business plan? And this culture can be cultivated.
I like that. And we keep taking this feedback and work on it. Right now, if there is any, say, club or school or investment, club or circle that wants to know more about the capital markets, all they have to do is to call us, email us, and we'll be there. Like, that is how easy we have made it. We shall come to you. You do not have to come to us. Organize a day and we'll come to you. And we've been talking to a variety of these circles, OG, OB, circles, investment clubs. We've been going to different organizations, even MDAs, even government institutions do not know how capital markets work, or even at an individual level. And so if you're a company and you just need a team building and you say, hey, we need to know about capital markets, just please reach out to us or visit our website on www.cmauganda.co.ug, or even just email us at info.cmauganda.co.ug, or call us. All those details are on our website. Amazing. And we'll be able to come to you, and that's something that we have been very intentional about.
Have you thought through as well, taking this to a whole new level, whereby you have students competing in school over certain investment ideas and so on, and then actually winners from these competitions can be taken to New York Stock Exchange for an experience? Because the moment you do such things, you get clout. Young people need something to believe in, something to chase after. And I'm telling you, I'm so passionate about young people because I know how enthusiastic they are. Because I'm on this show, I get so many young people asking me so many questions, but the answers are very few, because there's no way you can direct them to a visible, achievement. They can say, okay, if you go into this, you're going to go to New York, you're going to see how actually this happens. Because when you go to New York Stock Exchange, you don't see old people. These are young people, that are handling, all these brilliant ideas from all over the world. So I don't know if you can think through that as well. I'm just thinking out loud.
Let me look at my budget. I'm just trying New York. But I totally get that. Just motivating people and creating some sort of clout, like you call it, so people can be able to know, hey, what is capital markets? In New York, I'm going to New York or something like that. I like that. So yes, like I'd said, the debates, those ones are in plan, and we have done a series of them before. University challenges, but also high school challenges. We're planning to. And by the way, this is just a call to any school that already has plans to do this. We can always partner and do this together, as much as we are also having our own plan, so that in case you're already on your way to doing this, it's very important to just be strategic about it and get smart results. But yes, I totally hear you. How we can.
I'm pretty sure the budget is cool. I mean, you are the capital markets. How would you?
Well, I'll bring my finance manager here in the next one. Okay. But yes, when it comes to prices and the Gen Zs, how do we motivate them? We are definitely on ground to hear those ideas, so thank you for those.
And I think because you can be so relatable, because at least you're not far from their age. I would think they would appreciate someone like you talking to them more than someone who is much older, because they scare them. These guys who come in ties and bellies. They would be like, okay, these are still same story.
Okay, it's something that we've actually thought about. The language, right? Because the language can be really, really heavy, and someone is already confused in your first statement. That's why I'm actually trying to break it down in the simplest of terms.
AUM, I was just about to
I said AUM, and I said, assets under management, which means the money that has been collected from collective investment schemes. That's what it means.
Now we are par. So, how do you address concerns of risks concerning investment in the capital markets? Because why do you have Ponzi schemes today actually taking precedent, even after all the massive, sensitization we've done? It's because people don't see the risk. People are not told about that. You can actually lose money in investment. It's not all roses. So how do you address the issue of risks and also communicating these risks to these people?
Actually, that's one of our biggest challenges when it comes to investment fraud, right? And which is why the Capital Markets Authority actually exists, to protect investors. But what that actually means is that we are responsible for regulating the market, the capital markets markets or space that in case anyone wants to invest in the capital market, they should feel safe to do so, right? And yet here is a challenge that comes when it comes to Ponzi schemes, for example, and pyramid schemes. Our message has always been one, and that is to educate the masses, but also to let them know that if any entity is not licensed or regulated by the Capital Markets Authority, that entity should not be invested in whatsoever. And we always update our licensed persons on our website, on our social media channels, in the newspapers. You'll see these quarterly communications coming in as who we have licensed to be able to operate in this space. But also to tell these Ugandans of ours investing their hard-earned money in such schemes.
Underline that.
Hard-earned. Imagine you go sweat for that money in so many ways.
Yeah.
And then
after IFRS and all that stuff.
I'll not go there. And then that money is what's the word? Squandered. Yeah. What? Like it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
And some people even get depressed.
Suicide.
It's suicide. Yeah. It's something that's I cannot explain that enough. But how you see some of these schemes is, one, they are not regulated or licensed, but two, they always promise returns that are so insane, to the extent that, the one which we just saw, the Capital Chicken one, was at 48% interest rate. Yeah. Like, if the government is giving you 17%, and then you have someone giving you 48% as interest.
But it's desperation, people are desperate.
Yeah, please close your eyes. That one, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it pass, please. Because in the world of capital markets, you always see that there is always a risk. And that is why when we talk about the avenue for investing in collective investment schemes, at least we have seen that over time it fluctuates between 10 to 12% in terms of getting that interest back, and it's justified. Now, these people come with complex strategies. They are saying they are rearing birds and all these things. You've never seen the birds. Where are the birds? Where is it coming from? Now, what they do, they get the first people investing, and then that money that has been invested is what they use to give the new people coming in
returns.
Right? Yeah. So that means that they actually do not have capital. And yet for us, when we are licensing anyone, we make sure that they have capital. So you're not using people's money to give out to other people. Because when that happens, and how a pyramid works is that at the end of the 20 cohorts, now the ones who are coming in the 21st cohort will not have any money, because the other ones have been taking their money, and then at the end of the day there is nothing. There is actually, the people are in negatives, because you keep bringing in your money, it's given to another person, and it's unrealistic. So promises of high returns, complex strategies when it comes to investing, but you also see that even their company documents are not in order. You want to know who the owner is. You're still getting, answers which are very shady. They usually do not even have offices. Their offices are online, so to speak. And so just stay away. And the Capital Markets Authority, as I said, on our website, you will see all those that we license. In terms of collective investment schemes, there are only 6.
I think we should deploy guns to CMA to put down this, because I remember before Capital Chicken closed, there was a notice from CMA concerning just exactly the same company. And that very day that Capital Chicken closed, there were people at the gate who had brought money. Can you imagine? To invest. I don't know how you.
But also the thing is,
yes.
Let me tell you, people are funny in a way that when they're investing in something, they don't want to tell anyone else. They keep quiet. They do it secretly. I don't want anyone else to know.
Yes.
Then when they have beaten them on the head, then that's when they remember, oh, there is something called Capital Markets Authority. But ideally, before you put your money is when you're supposed to call and ask. Before you put your money. Now for you think...
You have a toll-free line?
It's yes, you can call it. It's not a toll-free line, but
make it toll-free.
You can call and we call back. You can beep and we call back. But the email is free. I mean, our socials are active. But yes, that's a good one. Toll-free line. Report scammers from all over, because even as a challenge as we have as a Capital Markets Authority, we are not that many. We are under 40, literally.
Amazing. So you're just one person for 1 million? Yes,
so it's not so effective in terms of I am here and I am going to get whoever is setting up shop every day to deceive Ugandans. So that challenge is also there. We will be working on it as time goes on, but we actually think that educating the Ugandans is the best possible option, because if you know that there's something called Capital Markets Authority that licenses these people, then you know you have to call them. And that is why we're doing all these town halls all over the country and just going and speaking to each and everyone there. Yeah.
Amazing. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent. You can't imagine how much
I couldn't realize, because this is something I'm passionate about. I love talking about this. So, but I'm really happy that you had me on the show, and I hope we can have many more of these, even if time is fast spent, because I believe this is one of the avenues we can get everyone involved, and
especially you, because I need you to actually speak out to those young people who are devastated, they are enthusiastic, but they have nowhere to go to. They're looking for someone to listen to, and someone who can show them the way. And I think you're a perfect figure for that.
Thank you so much. I'm humbled.
Thank you so much, Madam Lynn. That was Miss Lynn Tukey. She's Public Relations and Communications Manager at the Capital Markets Authority, and she'll just put it very straight to your face. If you need any help of any kind, and here I'm speaking to the young people as well, please reach out to the Capital Markets Authority. They are more than happy to help, especially concerning scammers, concerning your investment clubs. What can you do in your small groups, in your small circles? How can you be able to invest in capital markets? Capital markets is not the future, it is the present. We are living in a world of passive income, and if you don't earn passive income, you definitely be left behind. My name is Anthony. I'll catch you next time. Have a good night. Bye for now.
Smart 24, driving business.
By the name, I'm called Geramia Roshan. I'm from Madiokolo district. I'm a single mother of 2 kids. I'm a saloonist, but I'm a born of Madokolo, but I'm basing the saloon in Nebi district. It's in Nebi town. So I started this business salon after my senior 4. I really wanted to know how to shave hair, because on the side of women, I also know it. Now my most focus was on the side of shaving hair. My teacher, Morgan, he was so good to me, so good to us. We are like 20 people who are so much interested in hair cutting. So I managed to know how to reduce the level of the machine, and when it's becoming too hot, the way you have to reduce it. Then later, we learned how to apply tint. I came with my own tint, but they added it for me. That's why I'm looking so nice like this with my tint.
Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
Smart 24, driving business.
Mushroom growing is a profitable business in Uganda, and it is practiced by so many people, earning over 3 million Ugandan shillings after every harvest. Anyway, what do you know about mushroom growing, and what would you like to know? What would you like to learn about mushroom growing? Well, welcome to Farm Smart. My name is Krishi Takhaman, and today we are looking at mushroom growing. And with me, I'm with an expert. Let me say an expert or experienced man that has been in the field for some good time. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, please, would you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yes, my name is Abel Chidu. I'm the Managing Director of African Mushroom Growers Uganda Limited. African Mushroom Growers Uganda Limited is located in Makindye along Church Road, and we've been in this field for more than 12 years.
Wow.
Growing mushrooms.
Yes, please, tell us what do you know about mushrooms? Brief history about mushrooms.
Yes, the mushrooms started some like 20 years ago in Uganda, but it all along it has been practiced as like a hobby and as a small business.
So, why do you choose mushrooms of all crops?
Actually, we chose mushrooms because mushroom is one of the easiest thing to do. First of all, it has a quick return on investment. Within 1 month, you are able to earn money. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need a lot of land to grow. It has market, and it has a high return on investment.
Okay.
So that's why we chose mushroom growing.
So what's the secret behind mushroom growing? Because we see so many people are not into mushroom growing, but the few that are in it are earning and they love it. What's the secret?
The secret is that this is a smart business. You know, you don't, just like I said, it doesn't need a lot of land. Within a small piece of land, you can earn money. The market is there, and mushroom is a high value crop. You can sell just few kilos and earn money. Yes.
Anyway, before you take us around and show us the steps of how to start, first tell us what do we require? What do we need to have before we start up a mushroom farm?
Before you start up a mushroom farm, you need, first of all, space. You need a space where you're going to do the business from. You need to put up a structure, a mushroom grow house, but you also need materials which are required into mushroom growing. That's what we are going to see.
Okay.
But before all that, you need to have acquired good knowledge of mushroom growing, because many people go into it without
any
good,
training or what?
without good training or without good knowledge of mushroom growings, and they fail. So if you fail from the beginning,
Okay.
then that means you will hate the venture. But if you start by acquiring good training and you equip yourself with good knowledge, there you'll have started well.
Okay. Yes, highlighted, we need to have structure, then we need to have enough training before you start. Well, I will ask you about the structure. First, briefly explain to the viewer, how do you come up with this structure?
This structure, the way we come up with it, we use mainly papyrus and eucalyptus spores. Yes, we put up, those are the main materials we use. We create shelves in the structure, and then we roof using papyrus. Yes, we put papyrus of one layer, then we put a cavera to stop rainfall water, and then we put papyrus again.
Is it like a must? We need to use papyrus, or we can even use iron sheets?
No, we can use papyrus or grass.
Okay.
Because mushrooms, just like I'll tell you later, they need a cool environment, and the only way to create a cool environment naturally is by roofing using the available materials which are around the grass and papyrus. If you put iron sheets, you know, it will create heat inside. So that's why we stick to those two.
Anyway, you've heard about the structure. Now, right now, we are going to learning. How do you start? Where do we start from? With our expert. And here we are. Always the start determines your product, your final product. Here we are, the first step of our mushroom growing.
First of all, the type of mushrooms we are growing is called oyster mushrooms. But before you grow oyster mushrooms, you need to have what we call the substrate. We need to form or to create the substrate. Now, the substrate is like the soil in which we shall plant our mushroom seeds. But the right substrate determines your production. Now, there are so many materials which you can use as our substrate. But here, we use cotton hussks, but you can use other materials like coffee husks, sugarcane bagasse, wheat straw, rice straw, maize cobs. All those materials can make the substrate for mushroom growing. But we stick to cotton hussks because they are the ones which have the best biological efficiency. What do I mean? They can produce more mushrooms. If you make a garden out of cotton hussks, expect high yields and good quality mushrooms. So the cotton hussks are these. We normally source them from northern Uganda and Tanzania. Once the season for Uganda is off, we get from Tanzania. Like these ones are from Tanzania. Now, remember, mushrooms are not plants. Mushrooms are fungus. And this fungus, we need to create the food on which it will feed on. And that's the substrate. So the first step in making our substrate is soaking. So we get these cotton hussks and take them for soaking. Once we get our cotton hussks, we bring it here for soaking. And we put there the cotton hussks and level in the drum and level it with water. Then we soak it for about 12 hours. After 12 hours, we scoop it out. We scoop it out and put it down here. Then we leave it and cover it for about 3 days such that it can ferment. After fermentation, then we add there lime. We normally add 1% of the lime, 1% of the substrate. For example, if we put 100 kilograms of cotton hussks, we put there 1 kilo of lime. If we put 200 kilograms of cotton hussks, we put there 2 kilograms of lime. So basically, our substrate is a mixture of cotton hussks, lime, and water. After that mixture, we begin packing. Yes, once the fermentation is over, we begin packing our gardens. So the size of the gardens will depend on the size of the cavera you have cut. So we pack our gardens and then tie it. There, for us here at African Mushroom Growers, we make 2.5 kilogram gardens. And this is the standard we decided to make. So the process continues. We pack until the whole heap is finished. After packing, the next step would be to sterilize this substrate. Remember, I told you mushrooms is fungus, and this fungus doesn't want to compete with any other microorganism. So the next step is to sterilize the substrate before we introduce our spawn or our fungus into the substrate. So the next step we are going to see is how we sterilize our gardens, because we want to avoid contaminating our substrate. This is our boiler, and it's the one we use for steaming our gardens. It's an inbuilt boiler because it helps us to reduce on the quantity of firewood we are using. It actually saves on the firewood. Remember, the importance of steaming the gardens is to kill other microorganisms. Before we introduce our fungus, we need to make sure that these gardens are well sterilized and there is no any other competitor. So just I said mushrooms are non-plants, for them they are fungus. So before we introduce the spawn or that fungus, we need to make sure that these gardens are well sterilized. And the sterilizing process takes some time. Like for this one, for our boiler, we always sterilize about 4,000 gardens at a time, and it takes us 10 hours. Once they begin boiling, it takes about 10 hours. And this process is so critical.